There are times in life when we suddenly pause in the middle of an ordinary day and feel a stillness settle in the heart, a feeling hard to name. Not because something tragic has just happened, but simply a vague realization that things are no longer the same. The person who used to call every afternoon is now silent. The familiar corner of the house no longer carries the scent of mother's tea. The laughter of a once playful grandchild has been replaced by silence or the hurried rhythm of adult life. And I myself no longer have the energy to walk as fast as before. No longer wake with the lightness of youth. I once believed that time was my companion journeying with me through the years. But one day, I realized, time does not stay with anyone. It silently takes away all that we hold dear. And so, I suffer. But the pain is not because life is cruel. I suffer because I once believed everything would last. I expected the people I loved would never grow old, that memories would never fade, that health would never decline, and that happiness would never change. I lived with the illusion that if I just tried hard enough, if I were good enough, caring enough, everything I loved would remain forever. Yet life, as the Buddha taught, is never still. Nothing is permanent. All phenomena are subject to the laws of arising and passing away, of formation and dissolution, of gathering and dispersing. Whether emotions, relationships, fame, wealth, or even sorrow, all that changes with time. And it is because we resist that truth that we suffer. We try to hold on to what cannot be held. We cling to what should have been released. We fear change, and each time life moves forward, we feel uncertain and unsettled. But dear friend, impermanence is not the enemy of happiness. On the contrary, it is the first doorway to healing. When you truly understand that everything will change, you begin to appreciate what is here now. Instead of living in fear of loss, you learn to be grateful for each moment, each embrace, each morning when you can still breathe deeply and smile. Healing does not come from holding on to everything. Healing begins when we shift our perception, when we release the illusion of permanence and instead accept the truth of constant change. It is in that acceptance that we find peace. Only when we stop fighting the flow of life can we begin to move with it more gently. And in that moment, we begin to truly live. Many people feel uneasy when they hear the word impermanence. It brings to mind the loss, separation, illness, and death. It reminds us that everything we love and hold dear will eventually fade or slip away. But dear friend, if we look deeper, we will see that impermanence is not merely a threat, it is an invitation to awaken. Without impermanence, we would be trapped in suffering. If sadness could never change, how could we ever hope for joy? If illness could not be healed, where would we find faith? If past mistakes could never be transformed, then the path of personal growth would forever be blocked. It is precisely because of impermanence that today's pain does not last forever. Because of change, we can evolve, we can let go, we can grow, we can begin again. A seed of suffering today can become a lotus of compassion tomorrow if you know how to nurture it with mindfulness and understanding. The Buddha once taught, nothing is permanent, everything is changing. Be mindful in each moment. This is not a teaching meant to frighten you, it is an invitation to live more fully. When you realize that everything is passing, you begin to love more deeply, to feel more gratitude, to forgive more easily, and to live more meaningfully. Impermanence also teaches us humility. We come to understand that no matter how much power, fame, wealth, or knowledge we possess, we cannot control the flow of life. And in that humility, we open more gently to others, more compassionately to the shared suffering of being human. In the light of impermanence, nothing remains mine forever. And this does not cause despair, it brings freedom. For we no longer need to grasp so tightly. We can walk through life more freely, knowing that all things come and go like clouds drifting across the sky. To overcome suffering through the wisdom of impermanence is not just about understanding a concept, it is a deep practice, a way of living. Impermanence is not only something that happens out there, it exists in each breath, in every feeling, every thought within us. Some mornings you wake up feeling full of energy. Other days, your heart feels heavy and tired. Have you noticed how emotions rise and fall like waves on the sea? No emotion lasts forever. If you sit still and observe, even the most intense sadness will eventually settle like a calm lake after the wind has passed. That is why mindfulness meditation is so essential. When you sit quietly and follow each in-breath and out-breath, you are directly touching the ever-changing nature of your body and mind. You realize you don't need to resist what is happening. Just breathe with it, be present with it, and it will pass on its own. We suffer so much because we want things to stay the same. We want the people we love to remain unchanged. We want our health to last forever. We want happiness to never leave us. But life is like a river always flowing, never still. When you stop resisting the flow, you begin to find freedom. Freedom is not about controlling everything, it's about letting go at the right time. Freedom is not mastering every circumstance, it's mastering your response to it. And the wisdom of impermanence is the key that opens that door. We cannot change the past, and we cannot control the future. But we can embrace the present, the only place we truly live. The only place where impermanence becomes a friend, not an enemy. We often accept impermanence in small things, yet fiercely resist it when it touches love, loss, and death. These are the deepest realms of human pain, and yet they can also become doors to awakening. If we learn to see with wisdom, love is where humans cling most tightly. We love someone and want them to remain as they were in the beginning. But people change, emotions shift, life evolves, and if we do not learn to love with awareness, love will become our greatest sorrow. The Buddha never taught us to stop loving, he showed us how to love without suffering. It is a love that does not possess, a love that is fully present in the now, knowing that this moment is precious because it will never come again. Death is the ultimate truth of impermanence and also the one we fear most. But to the meditator, death is not the enemy. Death reminds us to live more fully. Each time you face death without turning away, you see life more clearly, love more deeply, and feel more gratitude. And then there is letting go, which feels like a loss, but is actually freedom. Letting go is not abandoning life, but releasing illusion. Letting go of the belief that we can control everything. Letting go of the expectation that things will always go our way. When true letting go happens, your heart becomes as light as the sky after rain. In every tear, in every loss, impermanence whispers to you, awaken, love deeply, live fully, because everything will pass. And if you can hear that whisper, you are healing from the deepest place within your heart. How can we live with impermanence without fear? How can an ordinary person, amidst a life full of worries and changes, learn to embrace impermanence as a friend? The answer lies in simple but consistent daily practice. First, take a few minutes each morning just to breathe and feel the presence of life. Don't rush to check your phone. Don't dive straight into tasks. Close your eyes, place your hand on your chest, and recognize, I'm alive. This breath is a gift. That simple recognition helps you begin your day with a mindful heart. Practice letting go of small things each day. An expectation, a judgment, a need to be right. Each time you let go, you don't become weaker, you become freer. And look at everything around you like blooming flowers. Nothing lasts forever. Your loved ones, your work, your youth, your health, all will change. And that is why every moment is profoundly precious. Each night, write down what you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be big. A good meal, a smile, the morning sun. Gratitude opens the door to peace in the midst of impermanence. And most importantly, become your own friend. Don't demand yourself to be strong all the time. When you're in pain, place your hand on your heart and say, I understand. I'm hurting, but I'm still here. And I'm learning to love myself. That is the beginning of healing. Impermanence is not the enemy. Impermanence is the truth. And if you walk alongside this truth with gentleness, compassion, and awareness, you will find a deep peace that no external circumstance can take away. Some may ask, if everything changes, how can we ever find peace? That question seems paradoxical, But in truth, it is within change that we discover the unchanging our attitude toward life. When one understands impermanence, they stop resisting life. They no longer demand the world to fit their desires. They learn to open to reality, pleasant or not. They no longer see pain as the enemy, but as part of the path of growth. Living with impermanence doesn't mean you become passive or resigned. On the contrary, the more you realize time is precious, the more you live with meaning. You love more fully. You forgive more easily. You appreciate even the smallest of blessings. A person who follows the Buddha's teaching does not run away from life. They walk through the world with an open heart and a steady soul. They may still feel pain and sorrow, but they are not swept away, because they know all things will pass. And here's the precious truth. When you stop clinging, you begin to truly live. You show up more fully in each moment. A cup of tea is no longer just hot water, it is a miracle. A hug is no longer just closeness, it is a message from life itself. Impermanence teaches us the most important truth. Live today as if it were your last, but with the peaceful heart of one who knows they will live forever. In life, each of us experiences constant change. Joys pass away, sorrows gradually fade, but seldom do we pause to reflect on the nature of that change. Impermanence is one of the Buddha's core teachings. It is not just a distant philosophical concept, but a vivid reality present in every moment of our lives. Everything, everyone, every feeling, and even ourselves, all are in a continuous state of change, never ceasing. Accepting impermanence is not giving up or becoming indifferent to life. On the contrary, it broadens our vision and helps us understand more deeply the nature of suffering and happiness. When we realize that everything changes, the suffering caused by clinging and rejecting reality gradually dissolves. The Buddha's teachings on impermanence lead us to mindfulness, a state where we observe phenomena without being swept away or attached. Instead of resisting life's constant flow, we learn to live in harmony with it, cherish every present moment, and no longer fear loss or change. Impermanence also reveals that suffering is not the end. It is part of the cycle of birth and death, a signal urging us to let go and transform, so we may move toward deeper peace. When we truly understand impermanence, we begin to transform fear, anxiety, and attachment into freedom, peace, and compassion. This is the path of inner healing that the Buddha showed us. Impermanence is not merely an abstract concept for monks or Buddhist scholars. It is present in every small detail of daily life that we often overlook. Have you ever noticed that even our own bodies, which seem so familiar, never stay still? Every cell in our body is born, grows, ages, and dies continuously. Our health can change suddenly. One beautiful day, we may feel full of vitality, but the next day, illness or fatigue may arise. The mind is similar. Our moods shift by the second. Sadness can turn into joy. Anger can give way to peace. Impermanence is the condition that frees the mind from being trapped in negative emotions. When we understand and accept this, we no longer fear unpleasant feelings or suffering. They are merely passing phenomena, like clouds drifting across the sky. Impermanence also helps us recognize the value of the present moment, because nothing lasts forever. Each moment is precious. Even a flower that blooms for only a short time holds its unique beauty, allowing us to experience life's wonder. The Buddha taught that living mindfully with impermanence helps us live more fully, less swept away by greed, hatred, and delusion, the three poisons that cause suffering. Impermanence acts as a mirror reflecting the truth, helping us escape illusions of eternal existence. This is the key to healing the heart. When we let go of mistaken attachments, we open space for natural peace and serenity to arise. In that moment, we touch the root of true happiness. One of the deepest causes of suffering is attachment, clinging to things we love, people we cherish, or even our own beliefs and hopes. The Buddha taught that attachment causes suffering because everything is impermanent and cannot last forever. When we cling, it is like trying to hold on to something that is constantly moving and changing. This is like trying to tightly grasp sand in your hand. The harder you hold, the more it slips away. This truth often leads us into feelings of disappointment, pain, and despair when what we cherish is lost. Understanding impermanence clearly shows us that letting go is not losing but liberation. Letting go means opening the heart and accepting reality with all its changes. When we release attachment, we create space for genuine peace and happiness to arise. Practicing mindfulness and reflecting on impermanence moment by moment helps us gradually untangle the invisible bonds within our hearts. We learn to see all phenomena as passing clouds, neither clinging to nor pushing them away. Liberation through impermanence is not a distant state but a practical path to heal the wounds in our hearts. Only when we learn to let go can we truly be free and live fully in the present. Human relationships are among the most vivid areas where impermanence is experienced. Family bonds, friendships, love, all undergo constant change. Today, we may be closely connected with someone, but tomorrow separation, change, or even loss may come unexpectedly. It is easy to feel pain when loved ones leave or relationships change. However, understanding impermanence helps us realize that these changes are natural laws that no one can escape. Letting go in relationships does not mean indifference or giving up love. On the contrary, it is a deep acceptance that everything has its cycle of arising and passing away. When we release attachment, we are no longer trapped by fear of loss or heartbreak. By recognizing impermanence, we learn to love more freely, without possession or conditions. True love is not clinging but giving and sharing despite changes. Meditation on impermanence in the context of relationships helps us gradually heal the wounds caused by fractures and loss. We learn to live in the present, cherish every moment together, without allowing past or future to hurt us. From this, impermanence becomes a path to inner freedom, where we can love and lie gently, free from suffering. Our body is the most vivid symbol of impermanence. From birth to aging, every cell, every breath, constantly moves and changes. Changes in the body are unavoidable, from good health to weakness. From beauty to aging, many of us fear and resist this change. We chase methods to preserve youth, worry about illness, and fear losing vitality. But the truth of impermanence invites us to accept the body with all its natural changes. Accepting impermanence in the body is not giving up or surrendering. It is a deep understanding of the nature of life. When we learn to view the body gently, without force, we reduce tension and suffering. The Buddha emphasized the practice of contemplating the body to understand impermanence and thereby cultivate compassion and wisdom. This practice helps heal fears about illness and aging and leads toward inner peace. In every breath, every step, we can realize that all things are changing. When we accept and accompany the body through impermanence, we find healing not only for the body but also for the soul. This is the path to freedom from attachment to an ideal self-image, and a step into fully living each moment of the present. Emotions are constantly changing waves of energy within our souls. Joy, sadness, anger, fear all do not remain fixed but come and go like waves on the ocean's surface. Many of us get caught up in or fear emotions, especially negative ones. We want to hold on to joy and avoid pain. But in reality, clinging to any emotional state traps us in cycles of suffering. The Buddha taught that recognizing and contemplating impermanence in emotions is the path to liberation from their bondage. When we know emotions are temporary states, we can observe them without being swept away. Mindfulness meditation helps us stand outside the flow of emotions, as neutral observers, not deceived by thoughts or feelings. From this, we develop calmness and wisdom, not controlled by internal fluctuations. This understanding does not mean becoming indifferent or numb. Instead, we learn to love and accept all emotions, whether positive or negative, as natural parts of life. When we release attachment to emotions, We free ourselves from torment and open a space of peace in the heart where suffering no longer holds sway. Modern life places many pressures on work, achievements, and career. We often get caught in the whirlpool of fame, money, and success, then easily feel disappointed and anxious when things don't go as planned. However, impermanence is an undeniable truth in every aspect, including work and achievements, positions, titles, and results we once attained will also change, and can even be lost. Clinging to fame, wealth, and status easily leads to stress, suffering, and mental imbalance. The Buddha taught that understanding impermanence helps us see things more clearly and thus release unstable desires. Practicing mindfulness at work helps us stay calm and focused amid heavy responsibilities. We learn to work with dedication but not tie our happiness to the outcome. When we understand all achievements are temporary, we appreciate every step on the path rather than only rushing toward the goal. This frees us from pressure and allows us to live more lightly and comfortably. Impermanence also teaches humility and gratitude. When we no longer cling, we more easily appreciate what we have and calmly welcome change. Thus, impermanence becomes an inner strength helping us overcome life's difficulties, leading to a peaceful and free heart. Relationships in life, family, friends, loved ones contain deep impermanence. People come and go, feelings change, and once close connections may grow distant over time. Many suffer because they cannot keep relationships as they wish. We easily get attached to expectations, demands, or even resentment when loved ones change or leave. The Buddha taught that understanding impermanence in relationships helps cultivate compassion and proper letting go. When we know all things change, we can love without imprisonment, respecting others' freedom and choices. Letting go does not mean abandoning love, but releasing attachment, so love becomes freer and more genuine. We learn to love not for selfish gain but from sincerity and deep care. Contemplating impermanence in relationships also helps us realize the value of each present moment. We cherish others' presence now, instead of worrying about the future or regretting the past. When we live with awareness of impermanence, we are not torn by a loss or separation but accept them as an inevitable part of life. This brings profound peace and the capacity to love more openly than ever before. Our body is also the clearest embodiment of impermanence. From birth, the body continuously changes. Aging comes gradually, health declines, and eventually, this physical form is left behind. Many find it hard to accept bodily changes, especially when facing illness or aging. The mind resisting this reality leads to much suffering, fear, and even anger. The Buddha taught that awareness and acceptance of impermanence in the body is the path to living in harmony with nature and reducing suffering. When we do not resist change but accept it as inevitable, the mind becomes lighter and more peaceful. Meditation on the body helps us deeply understand the transformation of each breath, each cell. From this, we develop respect and gratitude for the body, the temporary home of the mind. Acceptance of bodily impermanence also helps us cherish every present moment, living more fully without being controlled by fear of future loss. When we truly understand that the body is impermanent, we no longer fear aging or illness. Instead, we find peace in each present moment, regardless of the body's condition. Emotions are an essential part of human life. We experience happiness, sadness, anger, fear, and countless other states. However, emotions are not fixed entities. They also possess an impermanent nature, constantly changing like flowing water. Many feel overwhelmed by emotions, especially negative ones like anxiety, anger, or grief. They cling to these feelings, creating a cycle of suffering with no escape. The Buddha taught that recognizing impermanence in emotions helps us observe and understand them objectively. Then learn to let go of unnecessary negative feelings. Practicing mindfulness and meditation on emotions helps us realize that emotions come and go. Nothing lasts forever. When we neither cling nor resist, emotions naturally release, and the mind becomes lighter. Letting go does not mean ignoring or denying emotions but recognizing, accepting, and allowing them to pass without attachment. Understanding impermanence in emotions cultivates compassion for ourselves and others. As we realize everyone undergoes continuous change, this opens the path to deep healing, where we can live with peace, unshaken by turbulent emotional waves. Life is inherently ever-changing, and impermanence is the fundamental nature of all phenomena. When we understand and accept this truth, the mind is no longer bound by the suffering caused by attachment. Impermanence is not something to fear but an invitation to look deeply into reality. To live each moment fully with awareness and gratitude. When we let go of unreasonable expectations and clinging to what is unstable, we will feel true freedom in the mind and profound tranquility. The Buddha taught that understanding impermanence is the foundation of wisdom and compassion. Living with this awareness, we not only overcome suffering but also open our hearts to love and forgiveness. This understanding guides us on the path of liberation, helping us rest in unshakable peace amidst the changing currents of life. Therefore, let impermanence be your teacher, guiding you to walk with courage and wisdom, so that every passing day becomes a journey of healing, a step closer to true freedom.